live on Class 91.3 FM in Accra, Ho FM 92.5 in the Volta region, Dagban FM 102.5 in Tamale, Radio 92.1 in the Upper West region, Radio Power 96 in Spain. Around the world, join us on classfmonline.com. Coming up in this bulletin, the Free Senior High School Suppliers picket over 50 million Ghana cedis debt. Also on strike, the National Lottery Authority threatens strike over welfare operational concerns.
One, like I said, our vehicles is bad. If you are my client and I'm supposed to sit in that car and come to you, you are even discouraged.
Meanwhile, Thomas Anaba Defense Security blocking access to Kumasi Military Hospital site yesterday.
It's very, very unnecessary because the most important thing is why is the hospital not completed?
The minority demands anti-flag task force report for parliamentary scrutiny. Also coming up in African news, manhunt underway in South Africa after 12 killed in mass shooting in Johannesburg. These plus many other stories coming your way shortly.
This is the Class Breakfast News.
I am Elizabeth Adrian. Welcome to Class 91.3 FM. Let's settle for the details of the news. The institutional suppliers under the Free Senior High School program are today picketing at the Ministry of Education, demanding the immediate payment of nearly 50 million Ghana cedis owed for uniforms and other supplies delivered to senior high schools since 2023. The protest, organized by the National Association of Institutional Suppliers, comes despite fresh assurances from officials of the Free Senior High School Secretariat that efforts are underway to process the outstanding claims. The association says its members have not been paid for uniform, house dresses and school clothes supplies to public senior high schools over the past 2 years, despite several engagements with the government. The National Association of Institutional Suppliers President Emmanuel Ivo says while members welcome the latest discussion with the Free Senior High School Secretariat, they remain dissatisfied with the continued delay and will maintain pressure until concrete steps are taken to settle their debt. The suppliers insist the prolonged non-payment is affecting their businesses and are calling on government to urgently honor its financial obligation under the Free Senior High School program. We are following the story. We'll bring you live details on this subsequently and right here on Class 91.3 FM. Now on strike issues, the National Lottery Authority could face a major disruption in operations as workers threaten to strike over delays in the implementation of employee benefits and other workplace concerns. The local union chairman of the National Lottery Authority Labour Union, Eric Tamaklo, says staff will embark on industrial action if management fails to address their grievances within 14 days. According to him, workers are increasingly dissatisfied with what they describe as worsening operational challenges and poor welfare conditions. The union argues that the delay in implementing their key employee benefit could cripple and couple management decisions they claim are negatively affecting authorities' operation. They have heightened tension between staff and leadership. Eric Tamaklo is therefore calling on management to engage the union urgently to address the concerns and avert any disruption to the authorities' operations.
As a business, that is what we detail there. We will finish you a copy of this. One, like I said, our vehicles is bad. If you are my client and I'm supposed to sit in that car and come to you, you are even discouraged to even do business with you. It is shameful. And information available to us is that they have even budgeted to procure some of these vehicles. The board chairman, superintendent over the board, rejecting some of these proposals. What? Why? What do they take us for? A government business, you want to run it like a private enterprise? Please, that cannot happen in this MLA. We cannot allow that. And let me bring something to your attention. You have a situation where, as a business,
Thus, the local union chairman of the National Lottery Authority, Eric Temaklo, the Member of Parliament for Garo Thomas Anaba has backed security personnel who blocked access to the uncompleted military hospital in Kumasi, arguing that the facility is a protected site installation. Speaking on 505 yesterday with my colleague Kwame Ochijunia, Thomas Anaba explained that the primary concern should be the completion of the hospital to address Ghana's healthcare need rather than attempt to gain unauthorized access to the construction site. He stressed that the project remains government-owned facility under military control and therefore access must be properly regulated while construction is still ongoing. He further argued that individuals seeking updates on the project should rely on parliamentary processes rather than physical site visit. He also noted that the members of parliament on the health committee, including the current ranking member who previously chaired the committee, are already aware of the status of the project through parliamentary briefings.
Government can block anybody from going. I think this tug of war is very, very unnecessary, because the most important thing is, why is the hospital not completed for us to use? Because going to look at the facility will not give you an answer to why it is not complete. Would that give them an answer? Do you have any government official standing there who can give you answers about why the building is not completed? The best place to get information to understand why the hospital is not completed is asking a question in Parliament. The Ranking can ask an urgent question in Parliament for the Minister of Health or the Minister for Defense. Evidence. Let me tell you why they know the evidence. Because in 2019, Nicky Wood, the then Minister for Interior and Defense, came to Parliament to answer questions about the completion of the hospital. When Rankin was the chairman on health, and Nicky Wood said the building was on course. But when you move to 2020, again, when they asked him another question, he said that in late 2019, he said the building had come to a halt because they had changed the subcontractor in Ghana and given it to a new person who was working around to complete it. At the end, they couldn't complete it. That was how it ended. So the Ranking today, who was chairman of the health committee, knew that Nitiwu told them that the building had come to a halt, and it had never continued. It stopped at where Nitiwu told us that it was 90% complete for the hospital, 50% complete for the ancillary facilities like the accommodation, and in total, 70% of the project has completed but has come to a halt. Nitiwu told them this in Parliament. And so far, we've not heard that any work has been done there. The Ranking today, who was the chairman of the health committee, knows the state of the building, knows the state of the construction. Who started the construction? NDC government started the construction in 2014. 2016, there was a problem of this INF issue.
That's the Member of Parliament for Garo Thomas Anaba, who is also a member on the Health Committee in Parliament. The minority is questioning the effectiveness of government measures to tackle flooding in Accra, demanding that the flood task force report submitted to the House for scrutiny. The second Deputy Minority Whip and Member of Parliament for Wedagbawe, Jerry Ahmed Shaib, called on Parliament to summon metropolitan, municipal and district chief executives from flood-prone areas to account for flood mitigation measures undertaken in their jurisdiction. According to him, the move has become necessary as several parts of the capital continue to experience severe flooding after only a few hours of rainfall.
This was a body assembled for the very top of Ghana's executive machinery, announced to the public as a decisive intervention against perennial national problem. And yet we are here. The same communities are flooded. The same families are displaced. The same drains are overwhelmed. The formation of the task force was widely publicized. Its results, however, Mr. Speaker, have been conspicuously silent. Ghanaians funded this task force through their taxes. They were promised to make a difference, and I believe that they are owed a transparent account.
The relevant parliamentary committees, particularly the Works and Housing Committee and the Local Government Committee, to invite the metropolitan and municipal chief executives of the most affected communities to present their local flood prevention strategies, preparedness plans, and specific interventions being implemented to protect vulnerable residents.
You heard the Minority Leader Alexander Fenyomakin and the Deputy Minority Whip and Member of Parliament for Wedagbawe, Jerry Ahmed Shahib, respectively. Now, responding to concerns, the Majority Leader Mahama Yariga argued that the task force could require more than a year to effectively address Accra's long-standing flooding problem.
I've read about the special task force that was set up by the president. I'm not sure that this is a problem that can be solved within the 1 year that I think the task force has been in existence. A lot of studies are required, a lot of fundraising is required, and I believe that they will ultimately achieve some success, but we need to give them time.
That's the majority leader, Mahama Ayariga. Now, the former Works and Housing Minister, Member of Parliament for Ofuasia Yoruba, Kojo Oppong Nkrumah, attributed the persistent flooding challenges largely to inadequate funding for major drainage and flood control projects.
The budgets that are allocated for the flood control programs do not get released. Speaker, you can check from the Ministry of Works and Housing. You will find that year to year, you probably won't find more than 25% of the budget that has been allocated for the program, the flood control program, being released. And it's a reason for which you will see it on paper that we are planning to desilt here or build some stronger drainage systems here, and it doesn't happen. So, Mr. Speaker, if we are really serious that we want to go beyond paying lip service, expressing condolences and working in water, we should put our money where our best ideas are.
That's the former Works and Housing Minister, Member of Parliament for Ofuasia Yoruba, Kojo Oppong Nkrumah, also reacting to the flooding issues in Parliament. The Member of Parliament for Korle-Klottey, Zinato Ajuman Williams, also expressed concerns about the heavily distilled Odo River, which runs through parts of her constituency.
The regular desilting that should be happening is not happening, and there are times of the year when you can see cattle actually walking in the Odo, which means that's the level that the solid waste and silt has gone up to. It cannot be a once in a few years that such channels are desilted. It has to be something that's part of the regular maintenance.
That's Zinato Ajuman Rollins, who is the Member of Parliament for Korle-Klottey. The latest economic data shows that information and communication is now the dominant sector driving Ghana's growth, contributing 26.9% to the GDP in the first quarter of 2026. Government statistician Alhaji Idrisu Al-Hassan says the sector is expected and expanded by more than 25.2%, reflecting the growing role of digital services, telecommunication technology platforms, and digital connectivity in the economy. He further disclosed that Ghana's overall economy grew by 6.4% during the period, with additional support coming from mining and trade, agriculture, and transportation.
Information and communication recorded remarkable growth of 25.2% and contributed 26.9%. Communication was the fastest growing subsector in the first quarter of 2026, then continued expansion in digital services and telecommunications of 2026. The largest contributor was information and communication, which accounted for 26.9% of total GDP growth. This quarter of Ghana's economic expansion during the first quarter came from this subsector.
That's government statistician Al-Hassan Idrisu. The University of Mines and Technology has appealed to journalists to rely more on research and data analysis in their reporting to combat misinformation and improve credibility. The appeal was made by UMAT Head of Business Development and Assistant Registrar Michael Brefi during the presentation of a comprehensive university research program. According to him, the report is designed to serve as a reliable reference tool for journalists, policymakers, and other stakeholders in decision-making and public communication.
Over the years, the university has been very impactful research activities. How sometimes you stress on solutions from academia towards some of our challenges. Report together, we found it needful to let you have access to a copy of it, and then that makes you have research-based information guide your discourse. Researches that have been undertaken within the last 4 years. Impactful ones, there are a lot of researches, but some are basic and some are also applied, and they are very impactful ones. And we want to share it with the public. This from mining. Then you have agric, you have energy, and then water and sanitation, and then safety. These are all areas that we have done very significant. And we've not just done the works, we have adopted some of the SDGs to guide the research activities that we do, because that's what we aspire, global goals that we've set for us to get some solutions from. So all of them are packaged nicely in this document that we are here to share.
Thus, the UMAT Head of Business Development and Assistant Registrar Michael Briefly, into some African news, police in South Africa have launched a manhunt after 12 people were killed in a mass shooting at an informal settlement in Johannesburg. At least 10 suspects heavily armed with rifles entered the Jompers informal settlement in the suburb of Cleveland late on Tuesday night and opened fire before fleeing into white vehicles, police said. The motive for what police called a heartless and barbaric attack in which another 9 people were injured is still being investigated. We'll bring you more details on the story right here on Class 91.3 FM. For now, this ends the Class Breakfast News with me, Elizabeth Edu. For more news and updates, do log on to classfmonline.com. The morning show continues with Kwame Jumo Ajiman and the team. Do stay and enjoy the rest of our program. Sports is up next. Good morning.